Alright, so with the 6th pick in the NBA draft, the Orlando Magic selected the biggest thing to happen to Orlando since Dwight Howard, in my opinion. Because Jonathan Isaac is a 6'11", 6'10"-ish, 19-year-old combo forward from Florida State. He's a lot better than people expected him to be earlier on, because in Summer League, he showed that he's a solid ball handler. He's not great and still needs to improve, but he's solid enough for a stretch 4 or almost a 3. He's confident from three-point land, which was something that people were skeptical about, because in college he just seemed very timid, and he tended to defer to Dwayne Bacon and Xavier Raton-Mays. And he's really good on the offensive glass, because in Summer League he averaged 3.66 offensive rebounds per game, and he was only playing 19 minutes a game, or actually 18.7 minutes per game. He's a really, really good defender, which was something that was already projected for him to become. He can defend every position, like on a defensive possession. Like, if he's put in a pick and roll, he can guard the point guard, he can guard the power forward. He might have to get switched onto a center. I don't know if he'll survive against the NBA center because of how thin he is and his lack of strength. But he could eventually go on to guard centers, but he can guard 1 through 4 very easily at this point. He's very efficient as well. He's unselfish. He doesn't take bad shots, and he doesn't just jack stuff up because he's the best player on the court. He doesn't force the issue enough, which was a problem. But in Summer League, he became more aggressive, so it seemed like his 15-point outburst where he was very efficient. He went 7 for 12, I think. And he's very selfless, and he stays consistent on defense. Like, he's really hard worker on defense. He stays consistent regardless of his offensive touches, which we saw at Florida State. He's a really solid shot blocker as well, because like sometimes he has sneaky athleticism. He's kind of like Brandon Ingram in that way, where like he'll just come out of nowhere and just pin your shot against the backboard. And he has super long arms, so I can see some upside as I'm not gonna say rim protector, but I don't know. He could affect some shots coming towards the rim. A lot of Orlando Magic fans didn't really like this pick. They preferred Dennis Smith Jr. But to an extent, I agree, because Dennis Smith was more NBA ready at the time, in my opinion. But I feel like Jonathan Isaac has significantly much more upside, and he's better fit for today's NBA, because Dennis Smith is a little bit undersized, even though he's athletic, and he came off of ACL surgery and recovery and all that stuff. So I don't know. Jonathan Isaac was, I think, the safer pick, and I think he's going to do very well at Florida State. I mean, my bad. He's going to do very well for the Orlando Magic because Frank Vogel is there, and Frank Vogel watched PG-13 basically develop into what he was, and he might kind of have input on how Jonathan Isaac develops, because, you know, PG-13 just came in as a defender and was very long and athletic, kind of like Isaac, and he could defend the 3, the 4, and 2s. He wasn't really able to guard 1s. I don't think he was that quick to guard 1s originally into the league, but he was a really, really good defender coming into the league. And Jonathan Isaac, he could play a similar kind of role to what Brandon Ingram played last year for the Lakers, where he was like kind of, well, if you just looked at the stats, Brandon Ingram wasn't very good at all. But if you actually watched the Lakers play, he was a really good role player. Like, he was one of the better role players in the NBA, in my opinion, because he was a solid ball handler. He could rebound the ball. He was a good passer for someone of his size. and he was a smart offensive player. Jonathan Isaac, he's just a really special player. I feel like he can become one of the best two-way players in the league eventually. He has really quick feet like a two guard, but he has a center's reach, so that could really, he could have a really Draymond effect on defense in my opinion, because he could guard every position for one. He seems to be really aggressive on defense, and he's one of the few players that actually cared about defense in this draft, which is, who else cared about defense in this draft? De'Aaron Fox, Frank Ntilikina, and that's about it. Jonathan Isaac, out of all of the top 10 players. He was a guard in high school, which is really what intrigues me. So I know he can play small forward, because people are like, well, what are you guys going to do with Aaron Gordon, because Jonathan Isaac plays power forward? He can play some small forward, and I feel like him and Aaron Gordon are going to work very well together, because Aaron Gordon is a pretty good playmaker for a power forward. He has really good ball handling for a power forward as well, so he'll be able to catch Jonathan Isaac when he cuts to the rim, or hit him for open jumpers, because Jonathan Isaac's jumper was falling in summer league, and at Florida State he shot 34% from 3-point land, which was significantly higher throughout the season. Like significantly, he was shooting like 39% or something from three until the last 15 games, where he had like a super slump and only shot 30% from three, and that brought his percentages all the way down. And he also hits his free throws, which is something that shows that even though his shot may be a little flat at times, he has good form on his shot, and I believe it could eventually become a very consistent part of his game. One thing I did notice about Isaac was he attacks closeouts really well, and when he gets a full head of steam going towards the rim, he can probably throw down some pretty monstrous dunks when he becomes more confident in himself. And he's pretty efficient going towards the rim, because he shot 64.2% on half-court shots at the rim at Florida State, and that will only get better with strength, because when he comes into the NBA, he's going to be one of the more weak players. But I believe in our player development coaches, and that they could get him some strength, so he'll be able to finish through the contact, and with core strength, he'll be able to improve his body control when attacking the rim. I really think Jonathan Isaac can be one of two things. I don't really think he can bust, in my opinion. He's either going to be the ultimate role player next to a star. Like, that's what the main argument for him going to the Timberwolves was. Like, he would be the perfect role player next to Karl-Anthony Towns. He can shoot threes. He's long. He's athletic. He can defend multiple positions. And I don't know. He would just be the ultimate role player. Jonathan Isaac, he has some things to work on. Of course, he needs to get stronger. He needs to tighten his handle a little bit. He has a pretty nice handle, like you could see. He actually uses some of Kevin Durant's moves to get defenders off balance. And he just needs to tighten his handle. He needs to get a quicker release, because it's a little bit slow off the dribble. But that'll just come with time and experience. He needs to become a way better passer, in my opinion, because the Orlando Magic, we don't really have playmakers. We have Elfrid Payton, of course, and then we have Aaron Gordon, who's a pretty good playmaker for a power forward, even though they tried to play him at small forward for the season, which was really dumb. But Jonathan Isaac needs to become much more aggressive, because he would come to the Magic and become one of our better players. Because in my opinion, he's just not better than Aaron Gordon. He's not better than Elfrid Payton at this point. He's not better at Vucevic at this point than everyone else. And he's not better than Fournier. Everyone else, I feel like he's better than he's more valuable to our team than them. And that's pretty much it on Jonathan Isaac. I think that this was the best pick at the time for the Orlando Magic with the 6th pick. We couldn't really draft anyone else but Dennis Smith because Orlando Magic fans would have went crazy. We drafted Frank Ntilikina, and I give this pick an 8 or a 9 out of 10 just because of his potential to become a star. Because due to the fact that he was a guard in high school, then he had that huge Anthony Davis-esque growth spurt, which kind of made him. It kind of made him a big man / small forward with guard-like skills, which would be something that we could use. And one thing that the new staff members that I saw that they're really trying to emphasize is positional flexibility, which is something that every NBA team needs, and Jonathan Isaac personifies positional flexibility because he can play the 2, the 3, the 4 in some really, really small ball situations. When he gets stronger, probably the 5. And if he tightens up that ball handling, I'm not going to say he's going to play point guard or anything because I don't think his passing is ever going to catch up to where it needs to be. But he can play a point forward role to where he could bring the ball up the court. I hope that Frank Vogel plays Jonathan Isaac a lot as like a 6th man, if not start him, honestly, because I have no idea what they're trying to do with the Orlando Magic, but the 6th man spot would be really good for him so he can get some experience, but it wouldn't be kind of like a out of the frying pan into the fire deal to where he's just getting torched in the NBA. I think he can play backup minutes behind Aaron Gordon, or he could start at small forward because we don't really have a small forward. The Jonathan Isaac pick was really good in my opinion, and I don't really know what most Orlando Magic fans were complaining about when we drafted him. Long, athletic, can hit 3, a lot of potential, quick feet, center's reach is what I like to say about him. Hell of a rebounder. He averaged 8 rebounds a game in 19 minutes, and 3.66 of those were offensive rebounds. So he was really active on the offensive glass, so I don't really see a problem with him. And Jonathan Isaac is going to be great moving forward. All right, don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave down comments for suggestions for the next videos about the Orlando Magic or just the NBA in general. And all right, bye.